Right, this is Derek again. I'm in the workshop, and this is going to be a bit interesting today. I don't normally do product testing or evaluations, right? I've done one, I think, on a welder on this Andeli, but you may have seen these on. I see them on Facebook, the welding rods that was advertised on Facebook, and they're suggesting they would weld almost anything: aluminium, copper, sheet metal. They're showing you welding keys together and aluminium tubing and all sorts of things. Now, I have used aluminium rods before, these low temperature rods, and they're not as good as what they tell you they are, because you need a lot of heat, and if the material's any sort of thickness, then you haven't got enough heat in MAP gas to do any welding. So there's no instructions. This is how they've come today. Oops. Oh dear, dropped one. They've come today. They were all just had some cling film around them. No instructions, nothing. Just in a bag, in a jiffy bag, and they were 12 quid. Now they're very thin, but and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 10. So I'm going to use one today to do a bit of testing, see what they're like, and put the video on YouTube, because to be honest, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued if these things work, what they like, are they any good? Because I've never known anything that will weld aluminium, copper and steel. It's just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to give it a try, and that's what they were suggesting on this Facebook thing. Now I ordered them. It took about a week to come in. I didn't think it was going to come, actually. I thought, you know, it's a wind up, they'll not turn up. Anyway, they've turned up, and we're going to give it a try. So what I've got here is, this is aluminium. Now I make petrol tank badges, and I make them at a 1-inch aluminium plate, and that's this stuff. Now I've ground off the material that's on there, so we've got nice clean aluminium. Now this is the same similar sort of aluminium, but it's a lot thinner. This is, I think it's 0.5 millimetre. That's one, that's 0.5 mil. And I've got 2 pieces of copper, which sometimes I make gaskets out of for my bikes, and I've got a piece of sheet metal. This is like car body stuff. So we'll give it a try on this, on these 4, and let's see what sort of result we get, because I'm really intrigued. I've no idea what's going to happen. I haven't tried them, so let's give this a try. Right, I'm using my MAP gas, so if it's going to work, it's going to work with this stuff, because this is hotter than ordinary propane. There's no oxygen, obviously. I've got one rod. I think what you do is, there's no instructions, but I think there were some instructions on Facebook where you heat the parent metal, and then you don't put the flame on the rod. You heat the metal and let the rod sink into the parent metal. So let's give it a go. I'll put it in the vise. Now I know the vise can take some of the heat away, so I've raised it up and it's away. So I don't know if these are going to bend down, but I've got to do that to get them away from the vise, because the vise is cold. Give it a fair chance. Okay, let's give this a chance. Let's give this a try. Got a bit too hot there. Let's just try it on the metal itself. Well, it's welded it. It's welded it, but this thing was obviously it's melted before, but it did actually put some on there. Let's try this thicker stuff. I say you're not supposed to get the rod hot. You're supposed to use the metal that's going again now. Well, it has welded it. It has welded, but it's the metal's bent down before it's had a chance to weld it. But the rod did melt into the metal. That's interesting. Let's try the copper. I think the vice is taking a bit of the heat away. It's definitely done something. Let it cool down after and we'll give it a try. Now try the sheet metal. Not welding sheet metal at all. So these are aluminium. I thought they must be. They're aluminium rods, but I'm sure on the advertisement, I'm sure they said you could weld any metal. So any metal you would think would be sheet metal, but it doesn't weld that stuff. But it's definitely looks like it's welded that copper, and it looks like it's welded this stuff as well. A bit unfair that because there's a bit of contamination with it. Let's give it the best opportunity to weld that thicker stuff. It's gone again. That's you can't blame the rods for that, because that's me. I've just put too much heat into it. Let that cool down now and see what it's done. I couldn't weld. It has welded that, but it's it has welded it, definitely. Right, I'll cool that down now and see what the result is. Okay, let's have a look. I've cooled them down. It looks like it's welded it. Just clean it up. Not really welded that, although it's stuck to that, but they're aluminium rods these, they're not, it's not for copper. But let's have a look at that. NASA, look at that. That's not bad. That's almost as strong as the parent metal. So it has welded, and it's actually it's not broke away from there. It's actually the thickness of the weld that's broke. So it hasn't broken where it's stuck to the plate. Right. So what they are, they're aluminium welding rods. They don't, well, although it seems to have welded that copper there. Wouldn't have expected it to weld copper. No, it's not stuck to the copper. So the aluminium welding rods. It doesn't say that on on Facebook, I'm sure. It just says welding rods. It doesn't say aluminium welding rods. But that's what they are. I thought they couldn't weld or anything with them, but it definitely doesn't touch that. So that's what they are, the aluminium welding rods. And I think for what they are, I think they're quite good because it's difficult stuff to weld this. Let's give it another try. Okay, so what I've done now is I've put another piece of aluminium underneath just to support this so it doesn't fall over quite so easy, because it's only 1 millimetre thick. So let's give it another try. Get a soak in first, soak it all up, get it all warm, and see if we can just take it there. The bloke on the video on YouTube, this is a lot easier this, but you have a lot of practice. You have to be a bit quicker, don't you? You just have to be a little bit quicker. Let's have a look. Think about it. As I say, I need a bit of practice. The bloke on Facebook's obviously done it a few times and everything's set up perfect, but this is the first time. You have to be a little bit quicker when you're doing it. Well, that's not the prettiest thing, but well, certainly, blimey, welded that. I'm impressed. I've got to say, I'm impressed. Look at that. Jeepers. That's stronger. That now is stronger than the metal. I'm impressed. I am impressed with that. It snapped there. The weld. This material's not gone. It's broken there. But that is really good. I'm impressed with that. Right, so they're aluminium rods. I'm sure he doesn't say that on Facebook. He just says welding rods, and they show you welding all sorts of things. But they're aluminium welding rods. You want to weld an aluminium plate, then it's not going to get better than that. All right.